All right, folks, welcome to the Crack House Podcast. My name's Mike O'Sullivan. With me today, I got a real funny comedian. You've seen him on David Letterman, Conan O'Brien. He's been on True TV. Every Wednesday at 4 o'clock on 99 Sirius on Sirius XM. He's got his own show called Celebrate. And he's one half of one of my favorite podcasts out there right now, Defend Your Movie, with Andy Fiore, which is on the Laugh Button Network. You can find it on YouTube and all other streaming channels. Welcome to the show, Sean Dutch Donnelly.
Hey, how's it going? How are you, Mike?
Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Me and Sean. Sean's a movie guy. I love movies. We both talk about movies on both of these podcasts. What I wanted to go today is talk about plot holes in movies. We're going to do plot holes and buddy movies because you're a huge Midnight Run guy. We'll get to that at the end. I love Midnight Run too. I saw it in the movies when I was like 16.
Yeah.
One of my favorite movies of all time.
I saw the movies with my dad and I was probably like, I think 12 or 11.
Yeah.
And it's just, it doesn't get its due. It doesn't, it doesn't, we were talking about it on the DYM podcast and, I think it's one of, a lot of the behind the scenes stuff on these movies, they don't know how great it's going to be. Like it's very hard to convince these executives that it's going to be this amazing, amazing movie. Yeah. And I don't think people know until it gets done or they're editing it or whatever it is sometimes too. But man, we'll talk about an underrated masterpiece that has been around forever and nobody ever talks about it,
Yeah.
It's definitely in my top 10 of movies of all time.
Oh, definitely. It is. It's one, you know what it is? De Niro's not a mobster in it.
Yeah.
So it goes to like that wayside of just, he's doing one of those movies.
Yeah. Which is such, we should never have been the case because he was in Awakenings and that did well because it was a big Oscar buzz and all that. And he played the guy with the, he was catatonic or whatever. And then he got out of the coma. But, it's one of those things with De Niro. Yeah, you're right. Like people like, especially the time period. Cause this was 89, 88. So it was right. It was actually before Goodfellas. Oh, it was before Goodfellas.
2 years before Goodfellas. Yep.
Yeah. So it was 2 years before Goodfellas. So maybe that's why as well. I don't know. Yeah. I just know that people love it. Like it holds up. I just rewatched it. It's on HBO Max. I just rewatched it. Like it's so good. Like it's talk about, you want to talk about plot holes. I don't think there's any plot holes. There's not one. There's not one even tiny plot. It's edited well. Everything flows so perfectly in that movie.
Yeah, it is. It's a great, and Charles Grodin was he was just like an excellent foil to him throughout the whole movie. And
well, apparently there's a quote from De Niro where he was like, Charles Grodin made the movie. He got exactly how to play it. And he's right. He makes the entire movie.
I did a little dive, 1988 for the Academy Awards. I figured if Grodin did not get nominated for the role.
No way. No.
Kevin Kline won that year for A Fish Called Wanda.
Well, that was great too, though.
It was a great role, but I think he should have at least been nominated for. He was that good in the movie.
He should have. If Fish Called Wanda, which was a comedy, was nominated acting wise for it, why wasn't this? Like it's and I'm sure that must have come up for years with Charles Grodin. I've heard he's known for being kind of a difficult guy, so I'm sure that was in his head for years and years and years.
Have you ever seen the TV movies of Midnight Run?
No, but I didn't even know they existed until I went on a deep dive before we did the DYM podcast about Midnight Run, and I didn't even know they did them. Christopher McDonald played the Robert De Niro role. Jeez.
You don't want to listen.
It's bad, right?
I think I've lasted 10 minutes the 3 times I've attempted.
They sucks.
All right. First of all, they're physically different.
Yeah, the two. Who plays the Charles Grodin?
There is no Charles Grodin. It's just him doing Jack
Warden. Oh no. Oh, that's even worse.
And you don't kind of get a timeline in it because he's working still for Moscone in the bail bonds.
Oh, so it's kind of like a prequel to the.
I don't know if it's a prequel. I think they just made their own little universe.
Yeah.
Gary Keisler is still in it.
Oh yeah, so it has to be before it.
I'm thinking it. Dan Hedaya plays the bail bondsman.
That's good, at least.
He was pretty fun. I don't know who played Jerry. I forget who played Jerry Kaiser, but they give him a couple to go find, and it's Jeffrey Tambor and Kathy Moriarty. That's, I think.
Well, that's great. It's great actors in a bad movie.
That's exactly what it is.
And think about it. Like I was saying before, like, think about with the right script and the right producing of what you just described to me, it could have been good and on its own, and not ripping off the Midnight Run,
Yeah. And they they have them in it, and it's just they gave him like a New York accent too. Like he plays like a New York tough guy. Yeah. It's like you shoot a McGavin. I can't.
Yeah, right.
It's
like that happens sometimes. It's so funny. It's like they were probably just like, hey, we can use this. Maybe it was like Paramount, because I think it was it was who owned it, like not New Line Cinema. Whoever owned it probably was like, hey, we can just make this property into a TV thing, like that kind of thing.
And I think there was 3 of them. I think they made 3 of these movies. I think I saw it once on TV. It was on like TNT or TBS or something. But you can find them on YouTube, because that's where I watched it the other day.
I'm going to watch just to hate it.
Oh, yeah. You're gonna, like I said, I gave it 10 minutes and it was just, all right.
I got to see what it looks like at least, just to check it out.
They give him the leather jacket and the flannel. Of course. Yeah, but.
Yeesh. So bad.
Yeah. All right. So plot holes. These are some plot holes that I did a little deep dive on and looked around. I've had this one in my head for a long time. The Terminator series.
Well, I haven't seen the newest one, but isn't it a major plot hole in the new one?
I'm going to talk just about the original.
Okay. All right, cool.
Why? All right. I mean, every one of them. Why didn't they just send back like 3 Terminators instead of 1? Even after the first movie, just send 2 and problem solved. They never do.
Well, because you could probably explain that away with the technology. So if you go, even for them back then, even for them in the future, maybe it was a big undertaking for them to send 1 person back. Like, I don't think people just zip back, because even when they sent back Robert Patrick in the second ones and they couldn't come back. Is that what it is?
Yeah, they can't come back in the movie. They can only go. Because I remember when Michael Biehn is getting questioned in the police station, he like gives all these convenient answers, and they're like, well, can't you go back? He goes, I can't go back. You have to go through naked, no weapons, no. But you could have sent like 3 of them.
Yeah, but you could also, I'll tell you how I'm going to try to explain it, because you still have the Back to the Future rules of time travel possibly. So maybe they're trying to make the littlest waves possible. It's like so basically the most, like, the least people we send back, we don't mess with the future as much.
We don't butterfly effect everything.
We don't butterfly affect us and have us blow up because we sent back 3 guys. Because what if you send back 3? They have a trifecta. If you can be in control of 1 guy, but 3 guys, they could take over the entire planet, and then they don't even exist in the future. Like that kind, like that could happen.
All right. All right.
I'm just trying to play. I'm playing devil's advocate more than anything. You're right. But
here's my other thing about the Terminator one that kills me. All right. The Terminator basically has a supercomputer for a brain. He's got Google for a brain, right?
Yeah.
If you watch the first one, why does he need a phone book to go find Sarah Connor then? He rips the phone. He rips all the Connors out of the phone. You don't need you have it in your brain.
Well, because they don't like. Yeah, he has a supercomputer, but they might not have the yellow pages in that supercomputer. You have a lot of information in that supercomputer. Maybe the yellow pages, like, he has future phone numbers, not phone numbers from that time. Maybe the information has to be downloaded from him scanning it. You never know.
I need the memory stick now.
But I have, the only one I could think of is I have a one thing that always bugged me that I found out got explained. And it's the time travel one as well, is in Back to the Future 2, which you've seen, right?
Yes.
There's a part where Biff takes the time machine back to 1985, he actually takes it back to 1955, and he gives it to younger Biff. And then younger Biff, when he's old enough, he starts making all this money, and then he causes this like apocalyptic 1985. Yeah. Remember that? Okay. Yeah. There's a scene when older Biff gets back to the future, to 2000. what was that, 2015 or something, whatever it is.
Yeah.
He is in a lot of pain and he leaves his broken cane in the car. But they never, when you see it, they never explain to you why he's in a ton of pain and keels over. You ever notice that?
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember that part. He goes, he's like in tons of pain and he falls out of the car. Yeah. And then I always wondered, why is he in so much pain from taking the time machine back? Did you ever wonder that?
Yeah.
Okay. The reason is
the fish cane that he leaves in the car, right?
Yeah, exactly. But while he's doing that, he's like falling over. He can't stand up. Now, there's the reason why I don't know why they didn't include this, because it explains a pretty big plot hole. The reason what he did was what he did in the past, he he created himself not being in that future. So when he got back, there's another lost scene of him on the ground disappearing, almost like how Marty does in the first one, where his hand starts to disappear. Yeah. So he just disappears from that reality. So that's what it is. Like, it's not that he's in pain from the trip. I always thought it was like, oh, he's in pain from he's too old to take the time travel trip back or whatever it is. No, he's got himself right out of existence. Whatever action he did back in 1955 by giving him that book, he doesn't live as long as he's supposed to, I guess, whatever it is.
Oh, wow.
But, so if you look online, they probably have it. There's an extra scene of Biff disappearing, which explains that plot hole.
Well, have you ever seen the cut scenes of Eric Stoltz online?
Yes. It's really weird.
Yeah, that's weird watching those. Yeah.
It's really weird watching those. Yeah, absolutely.
My other plot, I do have an actual Back to the Future plot hole too that I looked. I looked and I saw this. Here's, and it's only one that I have, and when I read it, I couldn't believe I never thought of it before. How does George McFly even the mother, how do they never look at Marty and go, you look exactly like a guy we met 30 years ago?
Oh, yeah, I've heard this before. Yeah.
You're the guy that made us what we are today, and we have no...
Yeah, there's really no answer for that besides, like, it was 30 years prior, and you don't remember you can't tell me every dude you met 30 years ago, but
kind of a big deal.
If they were, it is a big deal. You're right. It's a huge plot hole. Like, they should at least get like a fake mustache or something to throw it up.
And they never get into how does he become friends with Doc Brown?
They never get into that at all.
That's a weird kind of relationship, but.
Also, there's a great John Mulaney bit where he's like, he's a kid and he hangs out with a scientist and he's either 40 or 90. Like, you couldn't even tell how old. Because I remember thinking Christopher Lloyd was so old back then, but he was probably only 50 something.
Yeah, well, I love that bit too. Wait. He's a teenage kid hanging out with an old. What's that all about? Don't worry about it. Don't even worry about it.
He goes back in time and he does. I forget what the people. They go, he goes back in time and he kills Hitler and he goes, nah, that would have been a good idea. He goes, we were thinking, he goes back in time and he tries to fuck his mom.
It really, they never get into that. They keep saying they're going to reboot that franchise.
I hope they don't. They better not. I have a feeling they're gonna, because it's too big of a problem. I think they're gonna, and I'll just be so upset. I'll be so upset if they do, because it's one of my favorites of all time, and it's like the nostalgia of all nostalgia movies from when I was little. So I will be beside myself if they make it just a bad version of itself.
And it's gonna be one of those things where it's
becomes the Christopher McDonald version of the freaking.
Yeah. Let's make it a TV series too.
Well, they had the cartoon back in the day. They had a cartoon, but that happens. Ghostbusters had that. It doesn't affect it. Well, Ghostbusters has the new one coming out, but they delayed it because of COVID, I think. But apparently, the all female Ghostbusters doesn't even exist in that universe, because in the trailer they talk about. They go, an event like this hasn't even happened in 30 years or 35 years or whatever it is. And they're not referring to the Leslie Jones one and Kate McKinnon one at all, I guess. Because it didn't do well, I think, when it came out. So maybe that's why they're like, all right, let's scrap it. We'll just get some weird prequel, some other weird Ghostbusters going on.
I love when they do things like that. Nope, they didn't exist. We'll get rid of it. I saw the female one, and it was just
I saw it. It wasn't that funny. I had,
It's
you know,
not-
it had, you know what it is? What didn't help it had all that bullshit around it where people were getting mad. Like, so, you couldn't tell if people actually getting mad there was an all-female reboot or if it was just one Twitter guy going nuts about it. And I didn't care less. I was excited for it, and then I watched it, and it just wasn't funny. It just wasn't. The original is really good. The sequel is amazing. I think the sequel is fantastic. Super underrated sequel.
I like I like the original the best, but the sequel does kind of go to the side a little bit more. Like, people don't talk about the sequel as much. People do not talk about that sequel as much. And it is a great sequel. The effects are a lot better in it. The storyline is great.
The storyline, I think, is better than the first one. And I think that, and the bad guy in it, the first one's like Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. Second one, it's like an actual badass demon from like back in the day. It's in a painting. Like, it's a cool idea. And the jokes are, I would say, just as good as the first Ghostbusters, if not better. I'm a fan of the second one a lot. It's on TV a lot more than the first one for some reason. I don't know why. It must be a cheaper property to owners.
I looked up another one.
Okay.
Armageddon.
There's a plot hole in that.
Well, it's more of a question than a plot hole. And why don't you just train astronauts to drill it in the asteroid instead of the other way around, where you gotta put all these drillers through, like, isn't it like a year to become an astronaut of just training? Where a driller is like, all right, if you press this button and this button, and then just put the explosive down here, you'll be fine.
Yeah.
I mean,
but I think that makes, well, first off, it makes for a way less entertaining movie, obviously.
It's a 5-minute movie, but
5-minute movie. And then also you could make the, but you're right. Like, it's, becoming an astronaut probably takes at least a year. But the thing is, like, but things like drilling, this guy's the best in the world. If you train a bunch of astronauts, I kind of get why they did it. Cause like, this guy is like the Babe Ruth of drillers, and and as long as they have astronauts go with them, he's fine. It's like that kind of thing. It's like, but then it becomes like, you need the movie part. The movie, you have to suspend disbelief for the movies. But yeah, you're right. Like, why didn't they just have get one driller and a bunch of astronauts?
You don't need that many. Another one I saw, and it's not even a plot hole, it's just more of a question too. It's like, Captain America's shield is made of vibranium, which absorbs vibration. How does it bounce off everything?
How does it bounce? Oh, I don't know. That's a good one too. Wasn't there a time travel one isn't there in the end of the Marvel universe, the first group of them, when he goes back? Isn't there something wrong with that too? Like, where if he did that, wouldn't a lot of stuff not happen? Like, doesn't he have to be in certain places?
Yeah, I think there's when he goes back at the end and gives the guy that plays the Falcon his shield. You mean that scene? Like, when he's sitting on that bench and he goes, "Here, this is yours," and I've heard that. Yeah, that's come up. Like, he's in a completely different universe, and a whole timeline changes if he does that. If he it's done. A lot of things, like you said, a lot of things change.
Yeah, because they don't thaw him out. They don't, like, doesn't the whole universe kind of crumble? And that, like, but there's probably an answer. They probably thought of that, and there's probably some kind of weird answer where alternate timeline or whatever, almost like the Back to the Future rule, where it's like the offshoot of it,
Yeah, there's also, and then I saw this one, Star Wars in the Rise of Skywalker. Now, I love Star Wars, but like the newer movies, you watch them just to watch them.
Yeah.
There's a huge plot hole. Well, not a plot hole, but just it's lazy writing how they brought back the guy that plays Palpatine. And the whole line is, somehow Palpatine has returned. That's it. That's how they bring him back. Somehow he's returned.
Is that really how they do it?
It's a line in somehow he's returned.
Wait, is that the latest one? Oh, that's the latest one, right?
Yeah, Rise of Skywalker.
So they just call it. I thought it was that they cloned, like it was cloned or something. Wasn't that it or something?
No one. It's just somehow he's returned.
Oh, that's awful. You're right. That's really bad.
And I think in one of the last Avenger one of the Avenger movies, they just write out, Ant-Man and the Wasp. Yeah, they're out on a mission. It's one of those. I think it's Ant-Man and Wasp or someone else. But
that's what they say. Oh, that's why they're not one of the Marvel movies.
Yeah, I think it's Ant-Man and someone. They're like,
because their thing. Well, that actually makes more sense because their thing is going on at the same time as that, probably.
Or maybe is it him? Or
there's a way. There's an order you're supposed to watch the movies in, and there's
Yeah.
certain things that are going on at the same time that the
Yeah.
Avengers stuff is going on or the Iron Man stuff is going on. So maybe they actually were true to the timeline with that, or they were like, we just don't have them in this movie. Like we can't have 23 people in this in this freaking movie, you know. But the what you call it? There's tons of lazy writing. That's other things that's like just they're like, yeah, we just gave up on it. We're just, you know, like we don't care as much about it. So he's just here. This guy just came back. Look at him, he's just back. You know, it's like
Dave went away to baseball camp. Okay, that's it.
Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah. But you have any more plot holes?
I have one more, and then we'll get into the buddy stuff.
Okay.
Raiders of the Lost Ark, the original. If he lets them take the Ark, Hitler probably dies. He should have let them take the Ark.
Oh, I've heard this one too before. Because that totally huge plot hole. There's also another one in Indiana Jones where they're like, if he does nothing, was that it? Maybe.
Yeah,
that was it. Yeah, if he just did nothing, the movie would be resolved.
Yeah,
that's a big one. That's a huge one.
And that's one of the greatest, movies ever. I love that movie. And if he does nothing, he's a hero if he does nothing.
Yes, it turns out to just be like an unnecessary action movie. Like it's just there.
That was like his fire festival. He just went out. He had nothing to do. And like ran around.
He's eating soup and wet blankets and just.
So we're gonna get into buddy movies.
Okay.
And you love buddy. We talked about Midnight Run.
I even said this on my podcast. I was like, and I think it's a great quote. Peter Steppenwolf, who writes for the Times with movie stuff, said that Midnight Run is the Casablanca of buddy movies. And I don't think you could tell me a better buddy movie than Midnight Run. What's a better buddy movie than Midnight Run? Some Like It Hot, maybe, but like that's different. That's not the same thing.
I look at just buddy movies as it doesn't matter. Just put two people together, and if they got chemistry, they got chemistry. I mean, all right, 48 Hours, I think is a great buddy movie.
Yeah, but that could be a direct battle, and Midnight Run blows it away. Blows it away.
It blows it away in the sense too that it's a bigger storyline. You got more characters. Every moving part in Midnight Run is unreal.
Yeah.
That's what I will say about it.
Also, Midnight Run has John Ashton, who might be one of the best character actors ever. He can play a heartwarming dad. He can play a bounty hunter. He can play whatever he wants.
The gruff cop. Look, another great buddy, Beverly Hills Cop.
Beverly Hills Cop's a great buddy movie.
The three of them, they were great in that.
Yeah, still like Midnight Run better. And that same director, Martin Brest, did Beverly Hills Cop 1 and 2, I think. Same director.
Okay. Lethal Weapon's a great buddy movie.
Yes, Lethal Weapon can you could argue Lethal Weapon is better than Midnight Run. I don't think it is.
Off the action.
Off the action and the comedy too. There's a lot of good comedy in Lethal Weapons.
Now I was reading that they want to reboot and do a 5 with the both of them.
Yikes, really?
Okay. Here's where it gets even creepier and weirder. If you go by the original canon of the Lethal Weapon movies, Danny Glover's character will be 84 years old by the fifth movie. He's 50 in the first movie. He is 50 years old and it's his birthday.
Yeah, it's his birthday. But in real life, he's like almost 80, I think, right?
He's probably in his late 70s, I would say, Danny Glover, yeah.
He might be 80. Hold on, I'm going to look it up because I think he might just be that age because in the first movie, he was probably 80. I mean, he's probably 50. Well, I'm going to look it up real quick. Oh, you're right. 74. He's 74. So he's only 40 in the first movie. He's 40.
Yeah.
Wow. He does look 50 in the first movie.
They gray him up a little.
They gray him up. Yeah. That's good. You're right. Yeah. So yeah, so he'd be 84. So why they should lean into it and make it like that they're off the force. They're both one's in their 60s, one's in their 80s. They reconnect. And it's like this fumbling. They should make that would be so much better than making it like how they make those movies now. Like 4 sucked. The one with Chris Rock sucked.
Yeah.
But like they should make it like where, yeah, we know that these guys are way too old, which I think now movies have enough self-awareness. Well, maybe they will do that where they can just make it where.
Make it a heartwarming drama where he's got dementia and he's got to walk him around, like.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. Well, one gets COVID and the other one can't visit him in this nursing home, which is, I should have said that. That's brutal.
He's got there's a bomb under the hospital bed. I'll pull it off.
Yeah. But they could make it where something maybe not they're in an old age home. That's kind of trite, but like they're older, they're doing old guy stuff, and one of them thinks something's going on at his in his park or something, and nobody believes him, and then it turns into them being able to like figuring out all this, like turning into their old selves. Because Danny Glover's they're both in good shape still, pretty much, or they just make it where it's them and they're traffic cops. They're still cops, but they're traffic cops, and they pull over Mel Gibson, who starts yelling racial epithets at both. That's the whole plot. It's another 10-minute movie. It's just, you got to pull over this guy, Mel Gibson, and then he yells about Jews for 10 minutes, and then that's the whole movie.
Danny Glover can finally say, it finally kicks in, I'm finally too old for this shit.
Yeah. That would be the slogan for the movie. Lethal Weapon 5, finally too old for this shit. That's good. I like that. You should tweet that. That's funny.
So, speaking of Mel Gibson, did you see Fat Man yet?
No, but it looks pretty good.
It's not bad.
Oh, you saw it?
I saw it. I think I watched it Christmas night. There was nothing.
You know what, man? I'll tell you what happens, and you tell me if this is what happened with that movie. When there's a certain trend of movies that come out, and in that case, it's like this. Hey, look how ironic we are. We're making an action movie about Santa Claus. And some of them turn out really, really well because they know what they are, whatever it is. But some of them, people embrace those types of movies so well, some of them just end up being garbage. And I think this one might be like too on the nose and too trying to be cute. Instead of just being like, hey, let's make a good movie and with a cool little twist to it, they're like, no, we're going to be like so self-aware that it's kind of running out our welcome on the trope or on the setup. You know what I'm saying? Yeah,
they make. I mean, it's a very low budget movie. They said the budget was $20 million. I don't know where it went because I think half of it went in Mel Gibson's pocket. When you watch, the whole thing takes place at the majority of it takes place at like Santa's workshop.
Really?
It's like the overview is it's a little kid that gets coal for Christmas. Like that's actually a thing.
Yeah.
Santa is like this celestial kind of being in a human's body, from what I gathered. He was like all knowing. Like there's a scene where he's at a bar and a guy is hitting on the bartender, the female bartender. And Mel just walks up to him and goes, hey, what's up, Bill? How's the wife and kids doing? And he has no idea who he is. So they make him like this all-knowing guy. He knows everything. And over the last few years, kids are getting worse and worse and more kids are getting cold. So he's actually doing less work. And it's kind of like he has to do this government work where the government comes in and says, you're going to build these bomb parts for us for these like B-1 bombers. That's how you're going to keep your shop afloat.
Oh, that's what I mean. That's too convoluted.
And then one of these kids gets cold. He's like a rich kid, freaks out, and he calls a hitman to kill Santa. And the hitman has a thing with Santa from when he only got like one toy as a kid.
There's such a better way to do that movie. There's got to be.
Like you said, just because like Mel Gibson is still so hated, if they would have made this, they could have made this movie with Kurt Russell and they would have given it $100 million budget. And they just would have made, because he's a badass towards the end.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, that's why I thought it would have an independent feel because that's where like Mel Gibson is at now at this point. But he's still working. It's like he's still doing stuff.
He's worth like $300 million. So he's
I believe that.
He made, I think, like Passion of the Christ. He made all that money. He produced it. He directed and produced it, and he pocketed the lion's share of that movie, and it was such a huge hit. And then his whole world collapsed.
Yeah, it was his own fault. You know? You got to watch it there, Mel.
Yeah.
Well, apparently he's probably a maniac, and his dad's a maniac. His dad's he's one of these hardcore like Catholics, which like never happens. Like most Catholics are pretty not secular, but are pretty just like whatever. But when you meet one that's like a real hardcore Catholic, you're like, geez, where'd you grow up? Like, it's like kind of like, hey, I go to church Easter and Christmas. I don't, let's not go crazy,
Yeah,
they want to bring it back to like, they're like, let's bring back the Inquisition. Like they're just psychopaths,
Latin masses for everyone now.
Yeah, Latin masses. Yeah, that's always good.
We don't need that.
That's always good when the Catholic Church brought that back in the middle of a huge scandal. They're like, this is how we'll endear ourselves to the public. Latin masses are coming back. That'll be good. Hey guys, you want to come to a dead language for you? If you weren't bored already, check out this dead language we're saying it in.
Well, that's like the Mulaney has that other bit about the Catholic Church where he talks about with all the problems going on, what did they change? And with your spirit.
Yeah. Wait
a minute, you tell me with everything going on, this was the problem? This was the thorn in the side of a lot of Catholics?
Yeah. He's so freaking good, Mulaney.
Good for. I hope he's doing well.
Oh, same here. Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, as far as buddy movies go, Lethal Weapon's up there for me. But Midnight Run, I'll put that up against any buddy movie. And then Martin Brest also did Bad Boys, and a lot of people's favorite buddy movie is Bad Boys, and I'm like, still doesn't take the cake for me,
The first two, I haven't seen the third one, and it's on cable, and I keep just it's 20 minutes in, I'll watch it another time. But I like the first two. It was a great take. Another one I like, which is a different take too. It's a cop buddy movie. Is Alien Nation.
Alien Nation's great. When they did the TV show of it.
No, the original movie.
The movie of the TV show. James Caan's in it.
Yeah, and Mandy Patinkin.
Yeah, it's great. It's great. Alien Nation's great. It's another great movie like that, and it's also not a buddy movie, but it kind of is a buddy movie. Is The Hidden? You ever see The Hidden?
Yes, Kyle MacLachlan.
Yes, Kyle MacLachlan.
Yeah,
The Hidden is great.
Oh man, we could go down a whole.
You don't like The Hidden?
I think they made a sequel too. I believe.
Did they? Yeah. The Hidden. I watched with my dad a long time ago, and it's a cool, like, it's almost like a B movie-ish type deal, a little bit. Yeah.
The effects in it, it's more like it's like a oozy slime thing.
Yeah.
Going in and out. Yeah.
But it's like it's definitely a good movie, and Kyle MacLachlan's great in it.
He was very good in that.
Yeah. But you can consider that a buddy movie too. But it's like there's tons of them. Like, even if even Friday's a buddy movie if you really think about it. If you ever see The Imposters with Stanley Tucci and Oliver Platt, that's a great buddy movie. Great buddy movie. But that's like basically a play. It's just like a goofy play. But as far as like cop buddy movies, things like Lethal Weapon and Beverly Hills Cop, and they know what it is. I think they're constantly trying to get to the head of the pack with that genre. Because what's the one that was? I never even saw it, but it had what's his name in it? The guy from The New Girl. It's called like We're Police, or We're Not. Let's Be Cops.
Let's Be Cops. Very funny.
Was there? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, my son loved it, and then he goes, "You have to watch it." He goes, "You're a cop. You'll love this movie," and it was hilarious. And it's just two guys that they get the outfits, and at first they don't want to do it, but then they get a little drunk with the power.
Yeah.
Like the one guy finally goes out and buys a police car. Like, we're going to drive around and do this. And it's a very funny movie.
And The Other Guys is a great movie too. That's another buddy movie. That's pretty great.
That movie, yeah. Michael Keaton makes that movie.
Yeah, he does. Michael Keaton. If you ever want to see a totally, what an enviable, if that's a word, status in show business where you're Michael Keaton and you get to do whatever you want and everybody loves you and you're doing fun shit, but you're getting paid a ton of money for it. And you're just and he lives in Wyoming. Like he just gets to do what he wants. And like, you know, how many, like from working in show business for a while, I'm like, oh my God, you know how much I just wish I had Michael Keaton's fucking career?
Yeah.
Cause he's like, I think for a while they wanted him for big budget stuff. And then he kind of said no to a bunch of things. And now he's the guy that kind of, I don't think he just puts himself on a movie, but he auditions for what he wants or he gets considered for what he wants. And he's kind of like half retired, but like owns a farm in Wyoming and like, you know, does stuff like Birdman, like weird stuff, but then does stuff like the other guys, which is like absurdly funny, you know, like that kind of stuff, you know?
I loved him he's coming back as Batman in this.
Is that true?
Yes.
How is that possible?
All right. Sean, sit back, relax.
Okay.
They're going. DC is very big with that multiverse. There's like different universes. There's like 100 different planet Earths.
Oh.
Like that TV show, The Flash, is for that.
Okay, I didn't know that. Okay.
So there's a Michael Keaton Batman. There's a Ben Affleck Batman somewhere. There's a they do all the universes. It's like that. Supposedly Ben Affleck and Keaton are going to be in these HBO Max things that they're making with the different universes.
Oh, really?
I think originally it was just they wanted Affleck to come back. He said no. They got Michael Keaton on board. He said, yeah, I'll do it. Why not? And now supposedly both of them might be in it.
Wow. That's kind of cool. What do you think of that?
I think it would be awesome if they, because here's the thing, DC movie.
But is he 60 in it? Because he's like, he's 60 now.
He's going to be like old man Batman.
That's cool. That's cool. I like it. I think it's good because I think they'll do something good with it. And I think that Michael Keaton must be okay with whatever the scenario is. So it's probably decent, you know. Because
I saw Wonder Woman and I thought it was horrible.
What'd you think of the first one?
The first one was very good.
First one I loved. First one I thought was DC's best movie. That and Shazam I loved. The second one, 1984, is atrocious. Yeah. It's just chaotic. It makes zero sense. The writing is terrible. And it's like you don't care. And the Chris Pine character, who's awesome in the first one, he gets like annoying in it. Like you're like dude. And then also like they make it like she wants. I get the idea where even she's falling for the wish stone and she wants what she wants. That's how they bring them back. But they didn't like even the way that she acts fits the 1940s way better than it fits the 1980s because she's so stoic. She's so stoic. They even have her in like evergreen 1980s clothes. Like our clothes that she wears in 1980s could be worn now down the street. They'd be like chic on the streets of, well, maybe not Manhattan, but I don't know what, you know, but I mean like, you know, there's nobody on the streets of Manhattan right now, but I mean like, but right now she'd be fashionable in those 80s clothes. They put her in the fucking movie. It's like, no, give her like some goofy fucking a couple of goofy outfits or something like as for part of the joke, you know? Yeah.
Like I saw it too. Is like, from what I heard, they recut the movie a couple of times.
Yeah, that always is death.
I think they tried to make the movie like super woke as well.
Yeah, I think. I mean, but like there's ways you can do that, but being genuine though, like even with the idea, even with the whole, you don't have to lay it on thick in the Wonder Woman franchise to make it woke, because the whole premise of the fucking movies is woke. Like that's supposed to be an empowerment kind of thing. So just worry about making a good movie. Don't even worry about the heroine of the movie is a woman and she's great and she's badass and she's strong. Like that's enough, and it'll come through if you just treat it that way, I think.
Because I looked at it too as like the Pedro Pascal character, it's Donald Trump. If you look, it's Trump. It's, you know, I'm living off your fake, you know, it's like a Ponzi scheme of wishes.
Yeah. And it just doesn't. It comes off
the hair. Crappy. They gave him like the Trump hair.
Yeah, they kind of did.
You know.
It's not. Yeah, that's what everything is now. That's why, you know, it wakes you up to the fact that. You want to be woke. You're woke to the fact that Hollywood's a business, and sometimes they just cash in on trends and gimmicks, and that's what they did with this. And it could have been such a cool Like that's when Wonder Woman was from. It was from the 80s. That Linda, whatever is it, Linda,
Linda Carter.
Linda Carter. Like it's like, how are you not just kind of doing an updated version of what the show is, or how are you not? I don't even think they had her watch the. Well, I guess you can't have her watch the show in the movie, but like how is there not a tip? And was Linda Carter in it?
Yeah, she does a cameo right post credit.
Oh, I didn't even see that. Nobody's watching post credit on that movie.
I sat through the whole thing. And the credits roll for about 30 seconds. And then it cuts to a street scene of you only see the back of her. And she's walking down the street and a lamppost falls. And it's going to fall on a little kid. And you just see the arm come out and grab it and save the kid. And the lady comes up and goes, "Oh, thank you so much." And she turns around. And she goes, "No problem." And what's your name? Remember in the beginning, the armor she wears that's God. Yeah. Linda Carter says that God's name, Amethyst.
Oh, so she's the original Wonder Woman.
And it's Linda Carter, and then she walks away. Boom, that's it. Movie's over.
So why the hell would you have not had her give an inspirational speech to the new Wonder Woman in the movie?
Yeah.
Unless she couldn't handle it. But it's like one of those things where, because she just has the armor in the movie. Why don't you give a little, talk about plot holes. How'd she get the armor? Oh, I guess you got it from her planet because they had it on her planet, I guess. But or not her planet, whatever her world is.
Amazonia, whatever.
Whatever it is. But how do you not give her, like, that could have been, that moment could have been why she's inspired to, like, save the day. It could have been, like, she's like, "Oh, my God, like, she could have seen that whole exchange and been like, it's so-and-so, the heroine from my world. Like, oh, my God, I have a duty here. I can go do this thing, whatever it is." Also, they made the bad guy, like almost like they chumped out on him being an actual bad guy. Like I even tweeted the other day, I was like, what goes on in that, what was going on right now in the real world is worse than what happened in Wonder Woman. I mean, it's worse. I'm like, Wonder Woman's not even as bad. It's like, because the guy at the end of that, you feel bad for Pedro Pascal in that movie more than anything. You're kind of like, oh, this, like, you're kind of a sad guy. And it does make sense with the Trump thing, because you're like, yeah, Trump's a sad guy. It makes sense, whatever.
And that's what I noticed too with a lot of, the bigger the star playing the bad guy, they have to give him a redeeming quality at the end.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Just be the bad guy.
Just be the bad guy. Just be the bad guy.
Had no redeeming qualities. He's one of the greatest bad guys to ever go on.
Because it also, like, I'm all for interesting endings and how these things are resolved, because I feel like Marvel tries to do that sometimes, where like the Doctor Strange ending of the Doctor Strange movie, I think is great. The way he plays with time, and that's how he defeats the guy and puts him in the sun. Dude, that is like, what other movie has an ending like that? And that's like a superhero movie, or it's a really cool idea. So when it comes to this, like the fact that the way that you resolved it is just by convincing the guy to give up. Is like, first off, it doesn't say much for Wonder Woman herself. It's like, well, you just convinced them to give up. You turn the TV cameras on him. And also, you're right. It's definitely Trump, because that's the whole point of the TV camera thing. Oh my God, I didn't even think of that. It's so beat you over the head with it. Oh my God, that's so gross. It's like I'm all for that. And actually, I like it and I hate it at the same time. It's like, but the fact that the movie was so bad, if the movie was better, I would have been fine with that ending. But the fact that the movie was so bad, I'm like, well, you lost me 20 minutes in anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it was. It just.
Oh yeah, him on the they had to put him on the cameras, and oh my God, yeah. But they could have made it so cool. The first one was so cool, man. Yeah. Like that, the guy she beats at the end of the first one is like one of the most fearsome villains I've ever seen in any superhero movie. He's fantastic. So. This one they should have upped the stakes. They upped the stakes for the Marvel movies. They made even the Christopher Nolan Batman's ends up being a nuclear bomb by the last one. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it's like, keep us going, keep us into it, whatever it is. And also, like, the other thing that made me lose it is, I don't know if you thought about this, the parts where she's the chaos is going on. The chaos could not look more staged. This is how I know that a movie's bad now. If I can picture it being on a set as I'm watching it, and like they have, like, at one point they just had a cop in the back. He's like, I don't know, I gotta call you back. Like, it just has him yelling into a microphone. Like, it's just like, I mean, not a walkie-talkie, but it's like, whenever you see something like that, it's supposed to be natural, like chaos of what's going on. That's not the way it would look. Like it's very perfectly choreographed chaos where people are running around in a mess, but perfectly in front of each other, not bumping into each other. Nobody's hitting anybody. Oh, it's such a mess, that movie. It sucks. And it makes you wonder, like, what the first edit was like for it,
Yeah. Well, they say it too with DC and I don't want to get off on a whole comic book thing. DC does TV excellent. Like their shows, I'm not a big DC TV guy, but their shows are excellent. Marvel, whenever they do TV, it's horrible. DC, when they do movies, are usually horrible, and the Marvel movies are unreal.
Are amazing, yeah. Because I think it's two different shops. I think two different shops are doing each thing.
So who knows?
Yeah, who knows? But yeah, you're right. Wonder Woman's not worth watching. The first one is great. The first one's definitely worth watching, but not the second one.
All right. So let's get back to Buddy Die Hard 3. Sam Jackson, Bruce Willis.
Oh, it's fantastic.
I think that's a great one.
Would you consider that a buddy movie? Would you consider the first one a buddy movie because he's talking to Reginald VelJohnson on the? That's not really. But you're right. 3 is a fantastic buddy movie.
Yeah.
3. We did that on the podcast once, and I defended the first one, and Andy defended the third one as the best Die Hard.
I noticed something in the first one and the third one, actor-wise.
What?
Okay. Remember the cop, Ricky, that gets killed in the third one, and the guy takes his shield?
Yeah.
He's one of the cops hanging out with Reginald VelJohnson by the car in the first one.
Oh, yeah, that totally works. Oh, no, it doesn't work, because one's LA, one's New York. Are you sure?
I'm like almost 100%. I'll text you later. I'll send you a DM later, and I'll double check it.
It would make sense because same casting, same, whatever it is. Oh, that's funny if that's the case. Oh, that's really funny if that's the case. But yeah, the Die Hard 3 is, I guess you don't think of it as a buddy movie, but it definitely is.
And it's
because it's a Die Hard. So Die Hard, you always think it's just John McClane, but the whole thing is a buddy movie.
Yeah, because the second one is pretty much by himself. I mean, he's getting
second one's by himself,
with a couple of the airport people. But
the second one's also way better than people give it credit for.
It's Die Hard in the airport. That's all.
It's Die Hard in the airport, but
great ending.
Yeah, and I remember rewatching it and going, "Oh, that's better than I remember it being when I watched it the first time as a kid." Like, I don't seek out Die Hard 2. Nobody seeks out Die Hard 2.
No,
but it's not. It's solid. It's not great. The other ones are so much better that it overshadows it, but it's not. It is solid. It's definitely solid. It's better than a lot of action movies,
Oh no, if that was just a separate standalone, people would have been, and they put Patrick Swayze in it or something, people would have loved it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so buddy movies come in all shapes and sizes, and it's just a matter of. But I still think I'll put Midnight Run up against any of these, and it's just the way, like, to get, especially like, well, they wouldn't be a buddy cop movie, but your traditional buddy movies, they're together the whole time. They're like, because even Die Hard 3, you could say they're separated for like half the movie.
Yeah.
Him and Samuel L. Jackson, which is true. So you could be like, it's not technically a buddy movie, but it still is. But when it comes to Midnight Run, they're together the whole time. It's your tried and true, like you need the odd couple factor, but Die Hard 3 has that. Almost all of them do. Tango and Cash has that. 48 Hours has that. They all have that, and they need that.
All right, we'll go one more. Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. It could give it a good run. It could give it a run for its money.
It absolutely does. It absolutely does. And I knew, and Planes, Trains, and Automobiles is like, first, no, talk about a movie that should have been nominated for an Oscar that wasn't. If it came out now, it would be nominated for an Oscar.
Kevin Hart's redoing.
Is he? Oh, that's right, he is. Who are you doing it with?
I have no idea.
So it'll be Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, right? Yeah. They did The Honeymooners. That didn't work out so well in that regard. I think you should just make just make its own thing so that people aren't comparing it to the original. If I was him, I'd want to I'd make a buddy movie, because even Tommy Boy, that's another good one. Tommy Boy, Tommy Boy's up there too. That's in the top 10 of buddy movies. But even Tommy Boy it's very much like Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. Yeah. It's very, very similar. So they could just make their own version of that, and it's really similar, and they're trying to get home, but it's called something different. You don't have to like go doesn't have to be planes, trains, and automobiles.
Yeah.
You know, that kind of thing. You know.
Yeah, just make some buddy road movie.
Exactly. But
You know.
yeah, Tommy Boy's another one that's up there. There's a ton of great ones.
Tommy Boy's great. That's another movie that just comes out of, you know, when it came out, and then people were like, "You have to go see this."
Yeah.
Go watch this in the theater before it's gone.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, but I still because once you said planes, trains, and automobiles, I was like, damn, does that beat Midnight Run? And I'm like, it doesn't. It to me it doesn't. But it gives it a run for its money. These are all that one because it also fits along the lines of comedy drama. Like it's both.
Yeah. You got two heavyweights in that.
Exactly.
It's huge. Not like they were nobodies at the time. I mean, Midnight Run's the same thing. Grodin, I don't think is that. His career, I don't think was that good.
It wasn't. In fact, they didn't want him. They didn't want him for it. The company, yeah, they were trying. You'll get a kick out of this. They wanted to try. They were thinking of Bruce Willis. They were I think as De Niro's part.
Oh,
but for one of the options was for Grodin's part. They were maybe going to make it a romantic comedy and make the Grodin part share, because they wanted it to be two big names. They were going to put a bunch of money into it, and then somehow I forget. I read it, but I forget what they said. But Grodin ended up with the role. But thank God he did.
No, I want the share version.
You want the share version?
I want the share version.
Yeah, I want Moonstruck with Grodin, and I want Midnight Run with.
Yeah. Snap out of it.
Yeah. It's the dry snap out of it. Yeah.
That's like. Have you ever seen the documentary about Superman with the Nick Cage Superman?
No, I never watched. Is it great?
If you want to, Kevin Smith narrates.
Yeah,
it.
I know the story that he was going to make it, and then he had it where Superman there was no cape and he was in like a suit of metal or something. Or
well, he goes to John Peters' house, and he has to read him his script, and he goes. Kevin Smith does that spoken word stuff, like spoken word stand-up comedy now.
Yeah, I've seen the clips.
He's got a great story of when he has to read the script to him.
Oh, wow.
And he goes, it's crazy, man. He goes, this guy is nuts. So he goes, I read him my treatment. And he goes, I love it, but I want like 3 things. He goes, he doesn't fly, no cape, no suit. And he goes, the third thing is, he goes, he fights a giant spider at the end. And he goes, why is he fighting a spider? He goes, and he says, John Peters says, spiders are the most fiercest animals in the animal kingdom. So he's like, okay, whatever. He goes, within a couple of weeks, he goes, anyway, I'm fired off the movie. The movie never happens.
Right.
But he goes, that next summer, Wild Wild West comes out. And he goes, that's a giant spider. He goes, that son of a bitch got his spider. And he goes, motherfucker, he did it.
Yeah, isn't it remarkable to find out all these classic movie moments that are made just by the whims of psychopaths within Hollywood?
Yeah. Well, like we were talking about Die Hard, when you hear all the people before it got to Bruce Willis. Frank Sinatra is number 1 on that list.
Yeah, and the reason why is because the book is from 1960 something or whatever it is.
Detective.
Is it based on the?
It's based on Frank Sinatra did the movie Detective,
but it's the same character.
Written by Roderick Thorpe, who wrote so he got first look. He was like almost 70 and goes, no.
And then Tom Selleck was also, right?
Tom Selleck, I believe it was Tom Selleck, Clint Eastwood, and Richard Gere.
Yeah.
And then they were like, no.
Man, talk about that paying off. Yeah. I've been, my brother-in-law, that building is the Fox building. I've been to that building.
Oh yeah,
and the lobby is the same. The lobby is the same pretty much. They moved some of the desks and they have updated systems and all that, obviously. But you walk in and it's the Die Hard lobby of the building. And I was like, and I didn't even think that they filmed it in. I forgot that they filmed in the actual building. And I walked in and I almost had like a heart attack. I was like, I can't believe that I'm in the Die Hard lobby. It's crazy. I'm taking pictures. I took a picture of the Nakatomi Plaza from the bottom, and one of the security guards came out and he goes, "You can't do that. Stop. You can't take pictures," because it's all like Homeland Security type shit.
Okay.
Yeah.
So did you have to? Did you look up Holly McClane in the touch thing?
I did. I typed in HO. That's a plot hole. That's a plot hole. He goes, that's a plot hole in Die Hard, because he goes, he's typing it in.
Yeah, they're the only ones in the building.
The only ones in the building. Yeah. Why didn't he just tell him that? The only ones in the building are the people on this floor. Yeah. Wouldn't you just say, "Hey, the party's on 25 or whatever the floor was, or 35"? Like, why are you letting the guy type anything in? That's a plot hole.
Oh, we could go on and on. But this is killing me. Yeah, this could be like a 3-hour episode. But I didn't even get into Blazing Saddles.
That's another great Penny movie. But that's slapstick, straight up comedy. It's in the same world as Midnight Run, but I think of them as different movies. But yes, you're absolutely right.
And if you think of it, was supposed to be Richard Pryor. That would have gone into the whole Pryor Wilder. They did 4 or 5 movies together.
Yeah, Silver Streak, See No Evil, Hear No Evil,
Stir Crazy.
Yeah.
So
but he was in rehab or something, right? Was he all fucked up?
Well, it was that, and I think Mel Brooks also said, he goes, you're too controversial. So I think, the time was comedy, stand up and everything.
Yeah, I'm glad it was Cleavon Little. He's great in it.
Yeah,
he's fantastic.
Great movie.
Yeah.
Well, Sean, thanks for being on, buddy.
You got it, man.
Where can everyone find you?
You can check me out at Shawnee Time on Instagram and Twitter. And then I have SeanDonnellyComedy.com, and you can check out the radio show and check out the DYM podcast. That's at the DYM podcast on Instagram and Twitter as well. And yeah, that's about it. Yeah, come check out any of that stuff and you can find me.
All right. Sean, thanks again for being on. My fans, my crackheads, listen, you guys, Instagram, Crack House Podcast, Twitter, Crack House Pod, look me up, drop me a line, crackhousepodcast@gmail. Let me know what you like and subscribe. Go to the DYM podcast. If you like this episode, this is what these guys do every week. Him and Andy Fiore just break stuff down. It's some of the best stuff out there right now. So
cool. Thank you, man. Thank you so much.
Thanks, everybody, and I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.